Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, when will our college will reopen?
Huh? Ball?
When will our college will reopen?
When? Classes? Hello? मैसेज लिखे दे मैं ऐसा दीच चैट लिखे दे अच्छा let us start today's class. Yesterday we have just discussed, we are discussing compound stress and strain means when a prismatic bar is subjected to various type of loading simultaneously acting over it. So we have so far here discussed first only a single load is acting. We have find out what will be the stress and strain on a plane which is at an angle at an angle with the normal plane. Next we went through when the stress and strain, what will be the stress and strain on this oblique plane when the bar concerned is subjected to stresses and shear stress and tensile stress. Next, we have discussed on when the bar is subjected to the stress over this oblique plane, when the bar is subjected to when the bar is subjected to only shear stress. Next, will discuss, again we have discussed when the bar is subjected to only normal forces but in two mutually perpendicular directions, then what will be the force on the oblique plane? Shear force and normal force on the oblique plane. Now we will discuss what is the biaxial and shear stress condition. Here, a body is acted upon, just 1 second. Here, we are just again considering an element of a body, which is now we will consider the stress induced on an oblique plane over an element of a body, which is subjected to biaxial stress along the x-axis and y-axis, and along and shear stress all together. So it is an element of the body acted by two tensile stresses along with shear stresses acting on two perpendicular plates of the body, which is given on this figure 2.25. 2.25. So let dx, dy, and ds be the length of the sides AB, BC, and CD respectively. How it's how this element of the body is acting, I mean subject to the load. First of all, I'm telling you again and again the same thing. It's a prismatic bar. First of all, it is loaded along x-axis, along y-axis, and it is loaded by the shear forces which are mutually perpendicular to each other. What we have done, first of all, we have made a normal plane which is normal to the horizontal axis, and then we are thinking of a oblique plane which is acting at which is placed or situated at an angle theta with the normal plane. Just a second. Just a second. Now, let us continue. Next, we are thinking of an oblique plane, which is inclined at an angle theta with a normal plane. And our job is to find out the stress induced over normal to this oblique plane and stress induced along the oblique plane, or normal stress over the oblique plane, or shear stress over the oblique plane. The length of the sides AB will be dx, that with BC will be dy, and that with AC with ds. And we are thinking that this bar is of even thickness, so it's like a piece of paper, and this we have a triangle on our sheet or on our screen. So if we want to know the load acting over the side AB, BC, we have to multiply the load, the stress multiplied by this length multiplied by 1, which will become the total load acting over the side AC. So what we are seeing, the load acting over the side BC is the first of all stress sigma x multiplied by the length of the side BC, that is dy, and multiplied by the thickness of the side, that is equal to 1. That is the load acting over the side BC. Similarly, the load acting over the side AB is sigma y into dy multiplied by dx multiplied by 1. Similarly, the shear stress or tangential stress acting over the side AB is tau, the shear stress multiplied by the length of the side, that is dx, multiplied by the thickness, that is 1. And what is the shear stress acting over the side BC? The tau, the shear stress, which are equal to each other on AB and AC, but working opposite direction. One is clockwise here and another anti-clockwise here, and tau, that shear stress multiplied by dy multiplied by 1. So what we have to do here, we have to consider that component of the stresses acting along the stress sigma x ds and along the stress tau sigma theta ds and along tau theta ds. So here we have to find out the component of these stresses sigma y dy, that is the stresses sigma y dy, which is acting along the stress sigma theta ds, and component of the stress sigma y dy acting along the stress sigma theta dx, and the component of the stress tau dy, which is also acting over the stress sigma theta and component of the stress tau dx acting over the stress sigma theta dx. So first of all, here first let us consider the side AB, side BC, where this is the line of action of the side sigma theta ds. So line of action of the surface sigma x dy is horizontal, and its component along this line sigma theta ds is like this. This is the component, and the component of the shear force acting over this side is vertical line of action of the shear force, and it is tau dy, and its component along this along the direction of d theta ds is given by tau dy sin theta. So this is given by tau dy cos theta, and this is given by tau dy sin theta. Both are acting opposite to the direction of stresses sigma theta into ds. So what we are writing down here, sigma x dy cos theta here, sigma tau dy into sin theta. Both we are adding, and as we are equating the stresses on the right side of the equality sign, this is both have become positive. Next, what will happen? What is the condition of the stress sigma y dy dx, which is acting vertical? Here we want to know this component of this force sigma y dx, which is acting along sigma theta. That is sigma y dx here, and is complete with component acting along this stress sigma theta dx given by sigma x dx sin theta. And this force SAB is having a force, shear force tau h dx, that is tau h dx given here. We have to find out the component of the shear force which is acting along the stress sigma theta into ds, which is this component is equal here is equal to tau x dx, tau x dx cos theta. So here we are adding them all together. They are all of opposing to sigma theta dx. So this will be, all these signs will be start. This is the sigma x dx and sigma y dx into sin theta and tau dx into cos theta. All of them are positive because all of them are opposite to sigma theta dx, and they are, just to maintain them the equilibrium, we have to equate both this side, equate both this side. Now sigma theta dx dy cos theta divided by ds, and sigma x dx sin theta divided by dx, tau dy sin theta divided by ds. We are doing all the components by with dx, and next we are simplifying, keeping the numerator as it is, and dy divided by cos theta is replaced by ds is replaced by dy divided by cos theta. Here dl is replaced by dx divided by sin theta. Here dx replaced by dy by cos theta, and here ds is dx by sin theta. So what is the similarity is there? We are introducing dy, as we have the dy in the numerator, so that it can cancel each other. Here dx, here we have dx in the numerator, to cancel each other like this and like this. Here dy is in the numerator, so we have brought a function like dy by cos theta, where dy will cancel each other, and dx is the numerator here, so we are relating it by converting ds in terms of dx sin theta, that is, so that dx is converted. Thus the sigma theta will become sigma x square. This cos theta will go up and will become cos square theta. Sin theta will go up, become sin square theta. This cos theta will go up, will become sin theta cos theta, and this is also sin theta cos theta, sin theta. This is sin theta. So equation will take this particular form. Sigma is cos square theta plus sigma y sin square theta plus tau sin theta cos theta tau sin theta cos theta. So sigma is cos square theta plus sigma y sin square theta tau sin 2 theta. Just a second. Next, we can convert cos square theta is equal to 1 plus 2 cos theta by 2 because we know cos square theta minus 1 is equal to cos 2 theta. 2 cos square theta minus 1 is equal to cos theta 1 minus sin square 1 minus 2 sin square theta is equal to cos 2 theta. So here we can say replace cos square theta by cos square theta is equal to 1 plus cos 2 theta divided by half, and sin square theta is equal to 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by multiplied by half. So he places it here and places it here, and tau sin theta remains that is it. If we again simplify further, this sigma x plus 1, then sigma y plus 1 multiplied by 1 will brought together to sigma x plus sigma y by 2, and again sigma x minus sigma y, here sigma x into cos theta minus sigma y into cos theta divided by 2 become half sigma x minus sigma y cos theta in plus tau sin 2 theta. Now, again, if we revolve the force along the direction of tau, what will happen? First of all, this force, we want to resolve the force along the direction of tau theta. So here we have tau theta in this direction. That ds, and what are the component of this force sigma y dy, which is acting along tau theta. That is sigma y, sigma x dy cos theta, sigma x dx, and to sigma y into dy sin theta is the force acting along the direction of tau theta. And for tau theta, tau dy cos theta is the force acting along opposite to the direction of tau theta ds. So we are putting it tau theta ds and plus sigma x dy sin theta minus sigma y minus tau dy cos theta. Again, from here, the component of the force sigma y dx along the tau d theta is equal to sigma y dx cos theta, which acting opposite to the direction of tau theta d theta ds, and the component of the force tau dx is here. Tau dx is acting on tau dx sin theta, acting opposite to the direction of tau theta ds. So if we put tau theta ds, sigma minus sigma y ds is acting opposite to tau theta, and plus sigma y sigma tau dx sin theta, as it is acting in the same direction. I have told you wrong. It is tau theta dx moving in this direction. Tau theta ds is acting in this direction, and tau dx sin theta is also acting in the same direction. So they are positive. And sigma y dx sin theta is acting opposite, so it is negative. So this equation will have become, after simplification, brought everything other than tau theta ds on the outside of the equal to sign. So this portion becomes minus this portion divided by ds. This portion becomes plus this portion divided by ds, and this portion minus will become plus this portion divided by ds, and this portion become minus ds sin theta divided by ds. And we replace ds by dy by divided by cos theta, as we want to eliminate sin theta. We want to eliminate dy. As we want to eliminate dx here, we replace the component dx is equal to dx by sin theta. If we want to eliminate the component dy cos theta, we have to replace ds by dy cos theta. And if we want to replace the component dx, we have to convert dx by dx sin divided by sin theta. So here dx and dy minus sigma x sin theta into cos theta, and dx is cancelling each other, plus sigma y sin theta into cos theta, and dy is cancelling each other, so tau cos square theta, and this dx is cancelling each other, so minus tau sin square theta. So this becomes sigma minus sigma x sin theta cos theta, where sin theta multiplied by cos theta, plus sigma y cos theta multiplied by sin theta, plus tau cos square theta minus tau sin square theta. And these two are, when it will replace, simplified, take the form half sigma x minus sigma y multiplied by sin theta cos minus 2 into sin theta cos theta, or sin 2 theta. Here tau cos square theta is replaced by 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2, and minus tau minus sin square theta is replaced by 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, which becomes but tau modulo is tau by into 1 divided by 2, and here is also tau divided by 1, or you can plot it together, and cos theta will cancel each other, right, and plot the negative sign. So this one will cancel them, and cos theta will become 2 cos theta, but divided by 2 means tau cos 2 theta. Here sin 2 theta, here we brought in half here and multiplied by 2. This will become 1 2 sin theta. It is also become 2 sin theta, and this is take it a common and convert it to sin 2 theta, and this will become half sin sigma x minus sigma y sin 2 theta plus tau cos 2 theta. So here we have got what is the value of tau theta and what is the value of sigma theta. Now we can use these equations to determine the stresses on any inclined plane in a material under different general state of stress. To determine to have planes having the maximum minimum values of direct stress, we have to differentiate equation 20, this one, that is sigma theta, this equation, by means of theta, because theta is the only one parameter where with sigma x and sigma y and tau are on fixed constant value for their respective stresses. So if we differentiate sigma theta with respect to theta and equate it to 0, then this equation will become 0 because it is constant. Here, so it is 0, half sigma x sigma y, and we multiplied by it will take the derivation of cos 2 theta, it will become 2 sin 2 theta, and this will come to this state, and here 2 multiplied, if we take the derivation here, then 2 multiplied by chi into cos 2 theta is the derivative. So here this 2 is cancelling each other, and sigma x minus sigma y into sin theta is equal to 2 into tau cos 2 theta. So tau tan is equal to tan 2 theta is equal to tan 2 into tau divided by sigma x by tau, or theta will be equal to half tan inverse 2 into tau sigma x minus sigma y. This equation provides two values of 2 theta differing by 180 degree, or only theta divided by 90 degree. The planes along which the direct stresses have maximum and minimum value. Now, the state values of theta also obtained by proving if tau is equal to 0, which indicates that shear stress is 0 or does not exist on this particular plane. So what we prove, if we put shear stress tau theta equal to 0, then what will happen? sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sine 2 theta is equal to tau cos 2 theta. So tan 2 theta become 2 into tau divided by sigma x minus sigma y. So we are finding from this two equation the same as this is. So we are finding from this two equation that if we equate the tau is equal to 0, which means that shear stress of is 0, it does not exist on this plane where the normal stress is maximum or minimum. So this is include the shear stress of 0 with the maximum or minimum value of shear stress. They are known as principal planes, and the corresponding stresses are principal stresses, which we'll discuss very soon. If sigma x and sigma is not alike, that is, if one of them is compressive, say sigma y is compressive, the corresponding expression can be obtained by replacing sigma y with minus sigma y. Following condition is general, as the material as a whole is in equilibrium under the action of external forces and internal resistances, element of any shape at any point in a material will also be in equilibrium under the internal external forces. So all the external forces, their internal forces, they will balance each other and form an equilibrium. An element of any shape will be considered for force analysis. Usually, the choice is making depending upon the requirement. For example, if the stresses on rectangular, longitudinal, and reverse are not required, a rectangular element in a suitable choice is a suitable choice. Choice where the stresses on the same inclined plane are to be found out, then a triangular element has to be provided. The relations derived above the various axes are valid when the inclination is measured in the clockwise direction with vertical plane. Compressive stresses are taken negative. The inclination is measured in the clockwise direction with the vertical plane. Means this is the inclination here. This is the vertical plane. It is the angular plane, and it is introducing an angle from here. Angle from here to here. There is one. So this is one of the relations here. Relations derived above or variations are valid only when inclination is measured in the clockwise direction with valid vertical plane. Inclination is measured in clockwise direction with vertical plane. So it is like this. We are measuring from here to here. This is in the clockwise direction. This is clockwise direction with the vertical plane. Now let us have to determine relation. Compressive stresses are negative and direction of the shear stress is clockwise on vertical plane and counterclockwise on the horizontal plane. Direction of stress clockwise on the vertical plane, you see here what we have seen. This tangential or shear stress have direction in the clockwise, has direction in the clockwise, and tau stress depending on this equation is behaving anti-clockwise direction. Now, if these parameters are chosen differently, relation has to be modified as below. The angle is measured counterclockwise, theta, with vertical plane, theta is equal by theta, or 180 degree minus theta. Angle projection counterclockwise with the horizontal plane, then find theta with the vertical and use the relation. If the relation to shear stress is counterclockwise, in the vertical plane and clockwise the horizontal plane, tau 1, tau dash. Thus, to use the derived equation directly, it must be ensured that the parameters are taken in proper way. Sure. Next, let us go or sum of the directions to mutual perpendicular direction. Just 1 second, please. Now, the direct stress on an inclined plane at an angle theta is given by already sigma theta, and direct stress on inclined plane at angle theta plus 90 degree will be given by theta plus 90. Here cos 2 theta plus 90 sine 2 theta plus 90, which becomes cos 2 theta minus cos 2 theta and minus sine 2 theta. Here in the second quadrant, both cos 2 theta and sine theta, cos theta and sine theta is negative. If we add these two stresses, when found on two mutually perpendicular planes, when the planes are mutually perpendicular, so theta initially was theta and next initially was theta plus 90, then what will happen? This will become sigma x sigma y plus half sigma x sigma y cos 2 theta, etc. Then if we add these two equations together, sine cos sigma theta plus 90 degree will become sigma x plus sigma y. So the sum of the direct stresses sigma x and sigma y is constant. The sum of the direct stresses on two mutually perpendicular direction at any point at an angle theta and theta plus 90 degrees remains constant, equal to sigma x plus sigma y. Let us start our discussion about the principal stress. What is principal stress and what is the principal plane? A body may be acted upon by direct stresses, shear stresses, and it will be seen that even in such a complex system of loading, there is these three mutually perpendicular planes. On each of these resultant stress is wholly normal. These planes are known as principal plane, and the normal stress acting on the plane of principal stress. The larger of the two stresses, sigma 1, is called major, and the smaller one is sigma 2, and the minor. The corresponding planes are known as major and minor principal stress. That third principal stress is generally taken to be equal to 0 for two-dimensional problem. A shear stress is 0 in principal plane. We have proved that shear stress is equal to 0. Then we use the same equation by putting the same tau theta is equal to 0 here, and we are getting tan theta, tan 2 theta 2 into pi to by sigma x and sigma x minus sigma y. This is also achievable if we derive sigma theta d sigma theta with respect to theta. We'll get same equation here, same relation, which provides two values of 2 theta defining by 180 degree and 2 values of theta defined by 90 degree. There's two principal planes are perpendicular to each other, and sine theta 2 theta plus minus 2 into here we get numerator denominator, and if we use sine theta as a triangle here is 2 into tau is the vertical, sigma x minus sigma y is the base, and hypotenuse will be sigma x plus sigma minus sigma y whole square plus 2 into tau whole square to the power square root. So sine 2 theta will be plus minus 2 theta divided by vertical by hypotenuse 2 theta divided by square root of sigma x minus sigma y plus whole square plus 2 into tau square, and cos 2 theta plus minus sigma x minus sigma y. This is the base divided by hypotenuse sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus 2 into tau square. Right hand side of both the above equations would have the same sign, positive or negative, while using them. Substitute this value of sine 2 theta in equation 2, which means the two values of shear stress is supposed to be obtained. Here, if we place this value of sine 2 theta one after another here, sine 2 theta and cos 2 theta in equation 20, we put this value here. Here, we are putting the value of sine 2 theta here and cos 2 theta here. What will take the what will be the shape of the equation? It was sigma x plus sigma y divided by 2 remains as it is, half sigma x minus sigma y remains as it is, multiplied by the cos 2 theta is sigma x minus sigma y whole square. Here is a sigma y in the numerator, and denominator sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus tau 2 tau y. It's sigma x minus sigma y whole square, and 2 into tau square plus minus tau tau multiplied by what is thing I think is wrong here. Tau multiplied by sine theta, sine 2 theta. So tau minus sine 2 theta 2 into tau into theta into whole square. This is wrong. So that is equal. Then if we add them this side two side together, we have tau sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus 4 tau square. 2 into tau, 2 into tau into 2 into tau into tau. Right, they are not wrong. Yes. Tau multiplied by 2 into tau square. So 4 into tau square. And these two from half will come here to multiply with 2, and numerator will be 2 into square root of sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus 4 tau square. And denominator, that is denominator, and numerator will be sigma x plus sigma y whole square plus 4 tau square. So this equation will reduce to half sigma x plus sigma y plus minus half square root of sigma x plus sigma y whole square plus 4 tau square. That is the principal strength along 1 into 2. Unless it is possible to know by inspection, which of the two principal planes corresponding to major principal stress, it is necessary to substitute one of the value of theta into the equation and find out that which two values of the angle correspond to the major principal stress. So you can say you have to find theta and you have to put it here to get the maximum value and minimum value, and which one is maximum you have to understand from the result. The maximum principal shear stress, the maximum minimum normal stress are the principal stress and principal shear stress. Here the shear stress is 0, but the maximum value of shear stress is plane in such a system. We consider the equation for shear stress in a plane, that is tau theta minus half sigma x minus sigma y into sine theta plus tau cos 2 theta. If we differentiate with the both side by the theta and equal to 0, d tau theta divided by d theta will become cos 2 theta, 2 into cos 2 theta. This 2 will cancel this one, 2 minus sigma x plus